Amit, thank you so much for joining me. You wear two hats. One is that of a vice chairman of Dabur, one of the biggest FMCG companies, but you're also becoming the largest restaurateur in the country with Light Bites. So I'm going to start by asking you a very difficult question. What were the 2-3 milestones that got you here?
In terms of Dabur, I think, so I'll talk in two things also. In terms of Dabur, I think I saw an opportunity in the fruit juice market when I came in after studying from abroad. And I felt that there was no player there or known player in the industry. And my milestone was to create that industry. I've always tried to be in the industry for creating a category. So when I started with with Dabur as Dabur Foods Limited, I saw an opportunity because outside everywhere in the world there was people having fruit juice in the morning before they went to work, and only in India that culture was not there. But people still love fruit juices, but there was nowhere they could get that product, and you could only get those tins with the preservatives in there. So I started that, and today, by the grace of God, it's about 1,000 crore. 1,000 crore product for us, which is probably the largest in the Dabur stable. So my milestone was to create the category. If I was to look at the F&B, when I saw the space and the retail space were coming up, I felt that there are only mom and pop stores there. So if McDonald's as a brand can come into India, why can't we make brands which can be at least here first and then to be transported outside? So that was what my goal was to start with. So I started creating brands with Punjab Grill, with street foods, Baker Street, and Zambar and Asia 7. And I felt that if we create good brands, every mall will require something like that. Because as you know that the food and the entertainment is what people are now coming into malls for. So we created those brands and put them into different malls. And for me, and in India, I think location is everything. If you get a good location, you can fill it up with all your brands, and it has to do well because the footfalls are there. And that's what happened. And from that learning, I've also gone into the travel retail space in the airport in Bombay and Delhi. And now we're going into the railway space, which is again a transport space, which is huge in terms of the number of people who are traveling. Like if you look at the number of people in Mumbai airport, it's about 34-35 million per year. In the railway space, it's 24 million a month. So those are the differences which are there. So.
That's wonderful. I'm going to ask you, internationally, Americans have been so great at creating food retail brands, right? Your KFC was nothing but fried chicken. A McDonald's was a patty in a bun. And it's really become international in how they've set up processes. They've got books written about how the McDonald's way is, etc. You've taken a couple of brands overseas. So I'm going to ask you, how close are we to an Indian brand becoming a McDonald's or a Domino's?
I think we are probably the only company in the F&B space here who actually has an ERP solution. We use SAP for our process. So, as I wanted to make it a chain, I can't be there every day, everywhere, and every of my Punjab grills. So we had to create a process, and that's what we've done. So what happens is that all the recipes are documented, all the pictures are taken of everything of what it's supposed to look like. It's in all our restaurants at the back end. Similarly, all your service is all documented, trainings are given. I think we are quite there in terms of taking a brand outside, and we've done that. Actually, we've opened Singapore already. Bangkok is opening in the next 15 days. We franchise it to Bangalore. Chennai is also again opening. We opened it in Abu Dhabi, 2 brands already in Abu Dhabi. So we've actually made the process right. We've documented it well. Because, today a franchisee demands a lot from you. You can't just take the money and tell him to run with it. He actually wants what is it in for me, not only just the board of Punjab Grill there. So from that point of view, we give them inputs in terms of marketing, what we do, collaterals for that. We give them training before and after. We hold their hands to open the restaurant. And all the time we're trying to provide inputs to them whenever they need any help. Menu engineering is one of them.
So, when you create a brand, there are two sides to it, right? One is a left brain processes driven, technology driven side, which you talked about. The other is the softer, the marketing driven, and the perception driven piece. How are you handling both these? You spoke about what you're doing in terms of processes, but in terms of branding, in terms of marketing, in terms of outreach, how is this working?
So I think when you go and eat in a particular outlet, it's obviously what brand it is, and there's an emotional side to it, and then of course there is the food side. I think most people, you have to have the food correct for anybody to come back to you. If you don't have the food correct, nothing emotional is going to help you. Like today, if you look at it, we go to different dhabas because of the fact that the food is the same quality, the same consistency. So we have to do the same. So we, at least in our quick service restaurants, we have a commissary base. Everything is cooked in a particular place and then sent it out to different QSRs. So the consistency and the quality remains the same. So the person at the outlet works like a McDonald's person. So, if suppose a kati kebab roll is supposed to be made, the bread is half baked. He has to bake it to full extent. The chicken tikkas are packed in a certain manner. That so many kgs has to be put, and he places them there. So many rounds of mint sauce has to go, and so much onion has to go, and then how to roll it. So those processes we teach, and that's all he needs to do. So he doesn't need to be a chef at the outlet. But of course, the higher end, like Punjab Grill or Zambar, is a chef base. But our recipes are fully recorded, and it's fed into our ERP, like I was saying. So all your food costs and all are all monitors through that, and up to the our purchasing downstairs here. If one butter chicken goes out of Punjab Grill, it knows what to order from back end and what will to be replenished for the next month or whatever the case might be.
You've seen the evolution of the entire food retail space, Amit. What are the learnings and what are the trends that you see over there?
So what I see is that people now want a lot more choices. Gone are the days where plain Indian or plain Chinese or plain Italian is going to work. People are looking for different things, quirky things, be it healthy options, be it juices or salads. People are willing to experiment. People are going out more. So you have to keep up with that. The consumer is more younger, so they are looking for bargains. They are looking for also more places to go and hang out. So food and drinks have to be very, very casual as compared to the normal heavy, Rogan Josh and roti. So, we also, developing those kind of concepts where it's not very heavy on the stomach. They're more wanting to hang out, have a small snack, have a drink, chat with people. So, those are the trends which I'm seeing. People are looking at, like the Parsi cuisine or a Bengali cuisine. They're willing to try Korean. They're willing to, try all these kind of different things because they are going out more and they are, bored of going to the, kind of same places again. They want to try out new things.
So how is technology changing a lot of this? Also because the most exciting thing around the startup community seems to be the whole app thing, right? Of being able to order on the go, etc. How do you see technology changing the way food retail is done as a business?
See, I think where technology is playing a role, at least in our industry, is how to make it convenient for a customer. A customer doesn't have time, or they want everything has to be instant gratification for now kids. So what is happening is that all the Zomatos or Food Panda, everybody today, before they go to any restaurant, reads about it, reads the best dishes, reads the remarks, and then goes to a restaurant. And a lot of times they don't go if the review is bad. So technology there is playing a lot for making a choice of where they are going. Secondly, on the food delivery side, today our food delivery in my company is hardly 2 to 3% of my top line. I feel we can go up to 15-20% because the point is, we have so much assets which we are invested into, and if we have to really bleed the asset, and this food delivery can really make it do that. And people want food at any point of time, and it's not only lunch and dinner. So from that point of view, technology plays a big role because there are websites you just go and you have every menu and so on, and you're on that, and all you have to do is deliver from our different outlets or commissary or whatever the case might be. So that's how technology is playing in our area.
In a day, you are touching so many people. Are you also looking at data analytics and data mining to understand trends, to see what are the fast-moving products and work your menu according to that? And what role does data play in that then?
So data plays a huge role for us. There's always an 80-20 analysis, and we always cull out the 20% of the products which are not selling and replace with new. And as I go back to the SAP, and through the SAP we get a lot of analysis done. We get different reports come out. We analyze our spaces by how much rupees per square foot we sell. So we can actually see each and every outlet and what is our benchmark and what should be, because there's rent involved in it, because that's the highest percentage of our cost, which is there. So we have to analyze all that. Plus, what is selling, what is not selling, what are the high selling items in one outlet may not be there in the second outlet. So you have to rejig the menus also. So like we've done, like in Singapore, there are more seafood which sells. So we have actually enhanced the seafood varieties into Singapore. Bombay, Juhu outlets do more vegetarian food. So we have again done that more vegetarian as compared to non-veg in our Punjab grill. So those things we keep on doing.
Amit, this kind of explosion in not just the scale of business, but also the layering of technology, of the kind of intelligence that is required, what pressure has it put at the talent development level? Because you would be needing a lot of different skill sets to be able to manage this.
Yeah, actually, I was also contemplating to maybe put a small school of, like a cordon bleu kind of thing, where we can develop chefs, we can actually develop people who serve, because it's very, very difficult to get people like that. Of course, mostly what happens is people are poaching from each other.
So what is the technology requirement for something like this?
So I think there is an issue in the F&B industry, and I'm sure there's an issue in a lot of the other industries, because we don't get talented people in back of the house, we don't get talented people in front of the house. And we are looking at people who are, getting into skill development, and we are working with different schools also to see how we can, help them get people what we require. So we are working with different schools, but it's a difficult job. Meaning, I wish somebody was out there who would do something like this.
So when you are looking at this expansion, and I know you're expanding very rapidly, Amit, how are you dealing with it? Do you have massive training programs? How raw is the input right now in terms of talent?
So we have a good training program. The input which we get is mostly 80% would be from the industry poaching here and there, but there is 20% which is coming through, which is raw. And there are a lot of inputs to be given to them in terms of grooming, in terms of how to talk to customers, in terms of upselling as such. So all our training programs are in-house, and we use other agencies from outside also to help us. We have a full training room upstairs which we use for training at different levels.
In terms of reskilling and skilling as outlets become bigger and as staff need to go up the management scale, what is the role that online education, because UpGrad is doing a lot of work on online, what is the role that online education can play?
It can play a huge role. If we had something like that, I would use it all the time, because it's so much easier than having training done during our work hours, because people can get trained also in their off hours in terms of going through and becoming better to get a better salary and to go higher up the value chain as such. Meaning, online would work very well for us as such.
How ready are the existing courses in catering colleges, etc., to the new challenges of not just managing the F&B, but really managing systems, technologies, data, and management of administrative work? I mean, how equipped are the current lot that are coming out of colleges?
I think it's got need a lot. It's got a lot to be desired. I think they are coming out, but the way the whole environment is changing. That by the time they come out in 6 months, and everything has changed, and how the industry is changing, e-commerce is happening. So from our point of view, it has to be kept on going training. So it's not that you finish your normal degree and then come out and everything for 10 years remains the same. So it's online training, reskilling is a big requirement in all the industries, not only us.
What about FMCG? Do you see the same constraints over there, or is it a little easier in FMCG because it's a older industry and hence far more set in that sense?
FMCG doesn't require as much as such. It is an older industry, but then with technology coming in and selling through different platforms, which is actually giving us also a lot of growth. But FMCG is not that much of a challenge as such. I think it's more on the sales side and the front end, which is always churning. So that is also again training and reskilling is what we require.
From your own journey, I mean, you are carrying forward a legacy which is old, because Dabur is one of the oldest family-run companies in the country, into the 5th generation, I think, right? What are the challenges that you have faced as you ventured out on your own, and what has helped you, step out of the shadow and do something on your own? I mean, what have been the influences there?
I think when I started foods, my father and my uncle were like my mentors. And I think it was the attention to detail which I had to go to put anything up as a proposal in front of them, because it was actually worse than a professional putting out a proposal, because I was the first one to be shot down. And that made me learn a lot. It made me angry at some point in time, but it put that rigor in there to do everything to the end detail, to put up any proposal. Of course, the team under me would get frustrated because they were not seeing things going through. And in a new company or a new category you're trying to create, things will go wrong. You're not getting people who are experts in that field. So if I were to find a juice expert, I would not find it maybe 15 years ago. So they were also learning. So there was frustration which was happening. But I guess in the long term today, where we are, and my team, which had taken from zero to, let's say, 350, 400 crores when I merged it, even today I am in touch with most of them, and they still call me up and said, look, we were the dream team, and if ever you need us at any point in time, we would love to come and work with you. So they also went through the grind. They also learned with me. We made a lot of mistakes, but we came out now very, very, let's say, confident to go to do something new and create a new category. And a lot of my people under me have gone in different fields.
So let me ask you this question, which is normally a tough one to ask. What is the one mistake that you've learned from, Amit, which was a setback, and looking back was an important setback to get?
A lot of actually mistakes. So one which was I wouldn't say a big mistake, but when I started juices here, I was of the mindset coming from the US that there was no sweetened juices as such. So there was like 100% orange juice. When I came here, we launched 100% orange juice, 100% apple, 100% pineapple, and we saw that the market was not that big, and we were like, what is going on? This can't happen. And then when you did a little research, you understood that first of all, an Indian wants a sweetened variety in terms of an orange juice, because the orange, European orange or a Floridian orange is too sour for them. So we started sweetening our juice to work on the palate. So today, if you see, real is actually 85% juice content. And when we did that, the market just took off. And then if you know that Tropicana came and made the same mistake as coming with unsweetened, and they actually did not move because the US companies and all will not make it sweetened. So they kept on going. So they slowly, steadily started creating that category, but it wouldn't grow as big as real. So real is about 80% of our portfolio. Active, which is unsweetened, is 20. So when they created that category, then we obviously went back and jumped into that under active, and then they came into I think the sweetened part after 10 long years. But I think today we have about 60% of the market share of India in the juice market, and it's all real.
If that was a mistake you learned from, what is the proudest moment that you've had?
Well, very recently, when I learned that Real is 1,000 crores and is the first brand out of the Dabur portfolio, which is 1,000 crores, I felt very proud.
That was quite a journey, right?
Yeah, quite.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, when you look at what you have done, and I think what's always fascinated me about you, Amit, is that you've gone out of the comfort zone and made a mark on your own in an area where you did a lot of experimentation in. What were the 3-4 traits that helped you succeed? If you've ever looked at what made you succeed?
I've always, I think, been able to identify a niche, a category which is not being, explored, and then, do a little bit of research behind it and see that this category can be big, and then you put all your efforts and resources behind it. So there's a lot of passion, teamwork. I think what you need is a team which believes in your dream, however stupid it can seem to start with. But they see, yes, there's something, it may happen. And then, all you have to do is, if you empower your team, they can create wonders. After you empower your team is working, all you have to be is a catalyst. That means you just see that they don't fail. So you try, and then all your work is only to see nobody fails in your team.
Who are the people you admire, who you've learned from, both as an individual and in terms of business?
See, I would say again, my father, late Mr. G.C. Burman, my uncle also, because, they, from maybe a small company as Dabur, from what it was, from an Ayurvedic company, how they created it into an FMCG company. The vision being very simple, being, dedicated to the health and well-being of every household, and how they created products from, Ayurvedic churans and all, and today, what you see, the Vatikas, and now getting into skincare and home care. So, I learned a lot from them, that how some things can transform from a rural brand to an urban brand, how they've changed the, target audiences also. So there are a lot of products for the older audience, but a lot for the youth. So I've learned a lot from them.
There's always criticism about India saying that we've not created a great brand. But Dabur, I think Dabur, Amul, these are brands that India can be proud of. Sure. What goes into creating a brand? What are the 3-4 metrics that you need to get right, you think, to create a compelling brand?
See, a brand is always made when people come back for the same. So you have to be honest with people. I think you have to be honest with yourself, honest with the product you are giving. So it's not that you want to sell it once and you run away if you want to build a brand. So if you're honest and you're building a brand and you're building a product category what people want, and there's a need gap there, and you price it right, then that's where you'll probably be able to build a brand.
What's your advice to youngsters, Amit? 2 categories of youngsters. Youngsters who want to get into the F&B space. And I'm going to ask you this in 3 forms. So the first one is youngsters who want to get into it and want to look at it as a compelling opportunity, a career opportunity. What would your advice be?
I think if you do a lot of research in this, I know when I started, and I think a lot of youngsters, a lot of people want to own a restaurant. Now, the thing is that it looks very good from outside. Inside, it's a tough job. Because everybody feels I want to have a restaurant, I'll have my friends coming and having a drink with me, eating with me, and have a party and so on and so forth. That's the way I started it. But you learn very quickly that that's not the target audience. If you want to appeal to a bigger audience, you have to create a product which the consumer is your target audience wants. And you have to do a lot of research in what your target audience wants. You can't think of yourself and make a product. You have to think of what everybody else wants. So first of all, just doing a lot of research behind what you're trying to sell. And of course, you have to have the passion to then take it through. You will make mistakes. There'll be a lot of hurdles, but then you have to keep on going and see and perfect that product or experience.
The second piece is for youngsters who are part of family-owned businesses and who have to earn their spurs. Because, if you're the vice chairman of Dabur, you've earned your spurs and you've not really been so dependent on the legacy of Dabur to take you forward. You've actually got a great mix of two. So what would your advice be to youngsters from family-owned businesses?
I think first the family-owned business has to tell somebody that, look, you have to go and create something on your own. We are behind you. If they let you in the company, then you will probably never, because that's in your comfort zone. First, you have to be out of your comfort zone. So I think from our family point of view, that was very good in terms of, all of them saying that, look, we are the fifth generation in the business. It's more important for us to stay as a family. Business is different, management, and family is different. And let's run a business as a business, and not that a family has to be there to run the business. That was a very important step we took to professionalize it. And once that happened, we were all out of our comfort zone. So we all went out to create our own businesses, to be in categories where we want to. So that's very important to start with. Secondly, of course, you have to have the drive, the passion to go ahead and work towards what you think is the right goal which you want to achieve.
The last piece is, as an entrepreneur, you've seen your father's generation as an entrepreneur, you've seen yours, and you've also seen a whole bunch of new entrepreneurs, Amit, who are coming in, the tech-driven kind of startup entrepreneurs. What are the lessons that you have learned, and what is your advice to younger entrepreneurs?
I think our father's, generation was risk averse. My generation is a little bit more, are taking more risks, and the next generation, which is the tech one, is taking huge risks, because I think, right now a lot of action is happening in e-commerce and so on and so forth. A lot of money is flowing into e-commerce, and I wish I was there somewhere, because the kind of money they are getting. So I think it's a question of risk and return. So the higher risk you take and you do it well, I think the return is higher.
And opportunity, of course, because India is suddenly becoming the hotbed of opportunity, an opportunity that your parents' generation didn't possibly see in that context.
Exactly, I agree.
Last question, a message for UpGrad and what they're doing on the online side. How significant can it be overall, and what would your message to UpGrad be?
For me, UpGrad is, I think, it would be something which every industry will have to use. We all need skilled people, and coming out of an institution towards a company, maybe FMCG or F&B, you need a little bit of sharpening up your skills. And again, it's the online training which you require. I think if it's done well, it's a good project. If it's done well, I think it'll do fabulously, and all industry will require it.
Thanks, Amit.
Thank you very much.
That was great, Amit. Thank you so much.